Um, The Proud Law by RDM Fave Clips. Category: My Hero Academia. Rating: Teen. Pairing: Aizawa slash Yamada, Todoroki slash Midoriya, and Midoriya and Izuku and Midoriya Hisashi. Summary: Class 1A goes to America for a summer training camp and vacation. There, Izuku catches the attention of an American lawyer who just wants some cuddles and conspiracy theories. Disclaimer: neither of us own any rights to the My Hero Academia franchise. Story begins. America, Izuku thought, has always been a better place to live. No matter if you were quirked or not, court cases from centuries ago had helped pave the path forward with quirks, rallies, parades, human equal rights laws, and just so much better support groups nationwide. Hate crimes were still a thing, unfortunately, but they were taken seriously by the FBI and the police enforcement. They even added a new series of hate crimes that were focused on the victim being quirkless or what type of quirk they had, and they supported the families of victims received by and the support the families of the victims received was amazing. 6-year-old Midoriya Izuku did so much research, begging and pleading to his mom to let him live with his dad in America when they divorced, but she refused. She was a wonderful mom, and Izuku loved her so much, but she refused to acknowledge that just because he's quirkless doesn't mean that his father's genetics don't affect him. Some examples being that he needs to be at a higher body temperature to develop correctly, a sharper sense of smell and eyesight, a craving for raw meats sometimes, and his notebooks were not an obsession, but his hoard. She buried her head in the sand with her rose-tinted glasses on over the fact that his father would have been the better parent to raise him. So he had to continuously deal with Bakugo's bullying and explosions just to survive, with barely enough heat to keep his organs working and blood flowing. When he befriended Todoroki, it was a blessing, and when Todoroki kept insisting that All Might was his father and provided evidence, Midoriya laughed. Todoroki's reaction to Midoriya telling him the truth and FaceTime with his dad, who had encouraged Todoroki's other theories, was priceless. So when his class was getting a trip to America for summer training camp and some sightseeing, he was not letting his mother say no to this, especially since the thing he nerds out about, besides heroes, is laws, and Aizawa had planned on going to the Museum of Law History. Midoriya was 100% going to it. Midoriya wanted to laugh at Aizawa's expression when he saw that Todoroki and Midoriya had stayed behind with him, instead of going to the mall with Yamada and Kayama, or sightseeing with Snipe. You two are sure about going to a museum that deals with American laws and American Supreme Court cases that changed their history? Aizawa said with a raised eyebrow. Yes, Todoroki said with a nod. Laws in general is Midoriya's second obsession. Aizawa blinked. Todoroki and Midoriya blinked back. For someone who claims he's so observant, how have you not realized that you're Midoriya's favorite teacher and teach his favorite class? Todoroki asked. Midoriya couldn't help but laugh at Aizawa's expression when Todoroki says that in his usual monotone voice. This trip is going to be so much fun. On the city sidewalk, an 8-foot-tall human with a dragon head, scales, a dark green color in the warm sunlight, but looks black in the dark. Toxic green eyes grew wider as his pupils become thin slits. The scent of coffee, cherries, and deep exhaustion weakened the scent of burning forests, fresh fallen snow, and touch-starved loneliness. And the scent that caught his attention was of a rainforest surrounding a batch of fresh mint, but the smell of frosty death was around the corner. The man leaned down, his 3-foot dragon tail scales the same color as his head, raised his black shirt with the English word for white and blue sweatpants, allowing the tail to move freely as blue sneakers started to run on the pavement. He had a scent to follow. I support Midoriya's obsessions as he supports my theories, Todoroki said, answering the teacher's question over why Todoroki had joined them. I see. So why are the two of you so happy to break laws back home? Aizawa said. Japan's laws have so many loopholes that I can argue that we have not broken any laws back home, Midoriya said. He stumbled as he walked underneath the air duct that was blasting cold air. I didn't think they would make this place into a freezer. Aizawa blinked. Freezer? It's not that cold, Aizawa said in concern. I'm different, Midoriya said. He nodded. Yeah, let's go with that. How cold are you? Todoroki said. Do you need me to use my fire? If I start going into hibernation, yes, because of a medical emergency, Midoriya said. Then drag my body outside and scream he lives before blasting my body with fire. Oh, blasting me with fire. Like I did during the snowball fight? Todoroki said. Yes. Explain, please, Aizawa said. Because I'm responsible for your health and I'm not letting you die. Eri would be sad. I'll be fine. I'm not ruining the summer for anyone, Midoriya said. He looked over at Aizawa. Where to first? Where is my blanket? I'm cold. The Dragon Man entered the museum, where the 3 scents hit his nostrils strongly. They were at the entrance less than 5 minutes ago. He took off, following the scents, and a plume of gray smoke escaped his mouth. He found them. Now he just needs to get his sight on the prey. Aizawa misses his capture scarf because he is trying so hard to not smile as Midoriya explains the Supreme Court cases to Todoroki that's reminiscent of the way he teaches his own class. Todoroki listens to every word like Midoriya will guide him on the right path. Their friendship has really benefited them both, and Aizawa couldn't be prouder. Feather. He did find it weird that once Todoroki joined Midoriya's friend group, that Midoriya seemed to have a healthier glow and a growth spurt. Then again, teenage bodies are weird, but Todoroki did say something about using his fire to keep Midoriya alive. That was really concerning, and he will be getting information about this soon, preferably before they return back to Japan. Midoriya, do you know much about this Hisashi versus Harvard case? Aizawa said, watching his two students. Midoriya spun around with a bright smile, stars in his eyes, and how was his body vibrating like that? Of course, Sensei. I'll be happy to, Midoriya said as he walked over, Todoroki following with a fond expression and a shake of his head. Aizawa sighed as he knew that expression all too well, considering he looked at his husband the same way. What do you need help understanding? Midoriya asked. Explain to me like you would to the class, Aizawa said. I might want to try a new research assignment when we get back home. You should have picked a different case than this one. This one happens to be Midoriya's favorite case, Todoroki said. Nonsense, Midoriya said. I can still teach it. He pouted at Todoroki. It's not my fault that I may be proud of this case. Sure, Todoroki said, being the perfect example of a deadpan response. Anyway, you know about the ADA, or American Disabilities Act, Brown versus Board of Education, or of Topeka Court case and Quirk Equality Act, right? Midoriya asked. Yes, Aizawa said with a nod. Good. These are important for Hisashi versus Harvard, Midoriya said with a nod. However, one of the things to remember about this case is that it is one of the few where the plaintiffs specifically asked for the first name to be used and that the plaintiff was their own lawyer. Sashi's quirk is fire-breathing, and he also has a dragon mutation, which is very cool because he hardly uses his fire breath, and he would make for an excellent underground hero. Midoriya, Todoroki said. I know. Anyways, Hisashi had gotten accepted into Harvard and had specifically requested to be in the physical classes with medical notes. If he looks at a computer for too long, not only will he deal with a migraine, but his body will go into a forced hibernation state. Harvard denied his. Todoroki and Aizawa tensed as a dark green scaled tail wrapped around Midoriya's waist and pulled him away with a little bit. They turned to face the person who took Midoriya, Todoroki, instantly relaxing his stance. But Aizawa was still tense because that is his problem child, who should not look so comfortable with an 8-foot-tall man with a dragon head leaning over him. A whine had escaped the throat when Midoriya didn't acknowledge his presence. Request because Harvard said that they did not cater to. Izuku, the man said, leaning over Midoriya more, his head completely blocking the view of Midoriya's face, his toxic green eyes staring straight into Aizawa's student's own green eyes. Pay attention to me, the man said with a whine. Midoriya huffed. Can't you see that I'm busy talking about your greatest achievement? But you weren't talking about yourself. the man said, leaning over Midoriya more when they both yelled as the dragon man started to roll forward with Midoriya. As my son, you are my greatest achievement and the proudest accomplishment. And the proudest accomplishment. It is because of you that I am proud to be called a dad. Amazing, Mr. Midoriya, Todoroki said as the dragon man rolled forward onto his butt, Izuku on his lap, with the tail still curled around him, holding him close to the tall man's chest. Please call me Hisashi, Hisashi said. Mr. Midoriya makes me sound old. You are old, Midoriya said. Really, father, Aizawa-sensei asked me to explain your case. Harvard discriminated against those with disabilities and mutation type of quirks, using the excuse that they were a prestigious college. Harvard lost in court against their top law graduate. That's all, Hisashi said. Really, they just had to look at all the way back to Brown versus Board of Education of Topeka to see that what they were doing was unconstitutional. Aizawa blinked as Hisashi nuzzled his snout into Midoriya's curls with a growl. You smell like a frozen bag of green beans about a week from expiring. You feel and smell like death. Has you in its cold, clammy hands, Hisashi said. That's pretty descriptive, Aizawa said. Thanks, Dad, I love you too, Midoriya said, grumbling. You know I don't mean it as an insult, Hisashi said. I just don't like it whenever I see you, it seems like you're close to death because no one realizes you're supposed to be at a much higher body temperature than a normal person. You can thank Mom for that, Izuku said, snuggling into his father's chest. She doesn't like to talk about you, or the fact that I'm part dragon. Excuse me, Aizawa said, and the toxic green eyes finally look at him. I'm Midoriya's homeroom teacher, and could we go outside where it's warmer so you can explain all that Midoriya needs to survive, since Todoroki and Midoriya wouldn't tell me? We didn't want to ruin your day, Midoriya said with a shrug. It is a vacation day for the staff too, Todoroki said. Aizawa sent a pointed look at each of his students before looking back at the dragon man, who was still sitting on the floor without a care in the world. My name is Shota Aizawa, and you are the second coolest hero in the world. Eraserhead. You would be the first, but it's kind of hard to beat my son at being the coolest hero. Todoroki, you're fourth, Hisashi said. How do you know who I am? Aizawa said, as he... Who's third? How do you know who I am? Aizawa said, as he wasn't wearing his capture scarf, his goggles, or his hero costume. How could I not? Hisashi asked. Back, just as confused. Anyway, let's go. This way, my fluffy mint can go back to smelling like freshly grown mint instead of a disgusting bag of green beans. Not my fault you hate green beans and frozen foods, Izuku said. Just for that, carry me, Hisashi said. Then you won't be able to snuggle me, Izuku said. Good point, Hisashi said, finally standing up. He used his tail to move Izuku into his arms before unwrapping his tail from him. Let's go, Todoroki. Am I going to hear more of your theories? Absolutely, Todoroki said with the most expression in his voice. Then, what Aizawa has ever heard from the Fire Ice quirk user. There is a cafe not too far from where we can go to, Hisashi said, because you are going to be in for a ride with Todoroki's theories. They are just too good not to be true. That is the end of, The Proud Law by RDM Fave Clips. Yeah. Sorry for any background sound, such as a male voice speaking. My younger brother is watching YouTube on the other side of the wall. And I'm currently not in my bed, so yeah. I hope you have a wonderful day or night. Remember to drink water and eat something healthy. Touch grass, please. Have a good day.